Welcome to Larry's Library. This week I read Conan the Barbarian oversized hardcover by Aaron and Asrar. So once again, this is another great deluxe hardcover from Marvel. This one is 296 pages. The list price on it is $34.99. But as always, gotta remind you, don't pay that. Don't be a chump. I got mine from cheapgraphicnovels.com, and they still have it in stock for $20.99. And that's a good deal. This was originally published in 2021, but for unknown reasons, well, they're known, and we'll get into those in a minute. I never picked it up until now. But this one is written by fan favorite Jason Aaron, and the art, the majority of the art, all but 2 issues, are by Mahmoud Asrar. Now, I had never seen his work before, but it's great. Spoiler, it's great. 2 issues that he didn't do were done by Gerardo Zaffino and Gary Brown. And they're pretty good too. They're not as good as Mahmoud, but they're pretty good. I didn't have a problem with that either. Most of the covers are by another fan favorite, Asad Ribic, and those are very nice. So what does this do? Well, what's in here? What's this book about? Well, this collects Conan the Barbarian, the 2019 series, the first 12 issues, 1 through 12. That's all Jason Aaron wrote on that title. So this was, I believe, the title that launched Conan after Marvel reacquired them in 2019. After having let the license lapse for almost 20 years, they got it back in 2019. I think this was the launch title for that. Now, there were a few other titles. There was some miniseries, I believe, and there was a King Conan series. And I don't think any of those were collected in proper hardcovers except this one. So that's probably part of the reason I haven't read the other ones. But and I have to admit, as a lifelong Conan the Barbarian fan, and especially the Marvel Comics Conan fan, a phrase I found myself saying, I think I told my daughter this once, well, I don't need another Conan series, Not that she was a proponent of this, but I say that about a lot of things. It's like, okay, I have my definitive run of this group or this character. Why do I need any more in my life? And I have to admit, that was kind of my reaction to this when Marvel got the rights back. On the one hand, I was like, oh, cool, that's great. But on the other hand, I was like, well, but do we need any more Conan? I mean, Roy Thomas has adapted pretty much all of the Robert E. Howard, well, definitely all of the Robert E. Howard Conan material, and a whole bunch of Robert E. Howard material that wasn't originally set in the Hyborian Age, that he adapted and shoehorned into the Conan mythos. It's a great effect. I'm not making fun of it. I love that stuff. But so I thought, do we really need any more Conan? I mean, I've read scores of paperbacks. If you haven't seen that collection tour of my Robert E. Howard paperbacks, check that out. I will link it below, and I'll put a pinned comment in to show that too if you want to go straight to that. But yeah, so do I really need another Conan tale? And then Cheap Graphic Novels had this sale. I think it was all 50% off most or all of the Conan books they had in their catalog. And this was one of them. So I got it even cheaper than $20.99, which is what it's at now. I got a little cheaper than that. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get it. I like what Jason Aaron did with Wolverine. I've read much or all of that. I don't think all of it, but a lot of it. I like that. And I like, for the most part, I like what he did with Thor. For the most part. I mean, if you want to check out the review I did of his Thor, I'll link it also. I liked it for the most part. I had little problems here and there, but pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. So he is a solid writer. So I went ahead and picked this up, ordered this, and, I was blown away. Loved the art, loved the story, loved everything he did here. And I got to say, he did it in a very respectful way, too. This book opens up explaining that this story is going to take place during the entirety of Conan's life, from the beginning to what would eventually be the end, And so this story is set all through that. And the opening 2-page spread, you'll see that in the B-roll. I could scan it, but I'm not going to do it proper justice with a scan because you really do need both pages together. and that there's no way to do that without breaking the book to get my scanner won't get inside the where the pages meet. So yeah, look at it in the B-roll here. This 2-page spread is an homage to the 30 years of Marvel Conan before Jason Aaron got this book. And it's like a collage, and you see some art from John Buscema, some art from Barry Windsor Smith, and I think some others are in there. And it's sort of put together as a collage, and they run the Nemedian Chronicles, the beginning of the Nemedian Chronicles, that opens all the Conan comic books and the first film, I won't recite here, although I could.
Between the time when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of. And unto this, Conan, destined to bear the jeweled crown of Aquilonia upon a troubled brow.
But anyway, it overlays that through this collage, and that's how this thing starts. So already you're on good footing with me as an old-time fan of this, because you're paying respect for what came before you take over, and that was classy. So Jason Aaron, that was a classy thing to do in your class act. Not that you'd ever watch my videos, but if you do, you're a class act. So yeah, so I love the way it began, and I really love the way it ended, and yeah, all in between. This was great. This was a great story. It's a totally original story. I'd never heard of this before. This was an original villain, I think, that Jason Aaron came up with here. This Crimson Witch. Loved it. It's fantastic. And as far as I could tell, and I do have a pretty good memory of the Conan mythos, although I forget other things, I got that pretty much locked. And I don't think he violated the Conan continuity, either from, the classic stories or certainly from the comic books. In my opinion, I don't think he did. He touches on them, and he even references past villains, from the old series, and that was cool. Really loved seeing that. And he sort of weaves it all in together in this story that encompasses Conan's entire life, and it is a 12-issue story. So it reads great as an original graphic novel. It's not an OGN, but it reads fantastic in that way. But I could see how it would work well in 12 chapters as well. So I think it's covered either way. Either way you want to buy this or read it, it's going to work out good, I think. But yeah, it was a lot better than I, kind of thought it would be. I mean, I hoped that it would be good or I wouldn't have bought it. But yeah, it surprised me with how much I did enjoy it. And it is a fairly quick read. It didn't take me long to get through it. And I loved every minute of it. I really did. He does some ingenious things here with Conan that I've never seen him do. The bit with the lion was a standout for me. And I'm not going to have any spoilers here, but just suffice it to say, Conan gets a pet lion. Now, we've seen Conan with a lion before in the old comic books, but not in quite this way. He's put a real spin on it here that, well, frankly, it warmed my heart. And I think it will yours too. It's really well done. And I like the way the weaponry is depicted. All that is done well. Some of the swords were obviously influenced, the designs from the movie swords. I mean, you get to see homage paid to the Atlantean blade from the first film, as well as the father's sword, the one that gets broken in the Schwarzenegger movie. They're not exact duplicates, but they are very reminiscent. Some of the hilt work and the pommel is almost exactly the same, and you can see that it was obviously influenced. Those movie swords influenced this artist, and I really enjoyed that. It was well done. Oh, on the covers, almost every cover is by Esad Ribic, as I said. One thing I found out when I looked up the individual issues, because it wasn't apparent in the book here, in the collected book, is that there were 3 or 4 covers, variants done, by the interior artist, Mahmoud Asrar, and they're really good too. Now, I don't collect singles anymore, not really, but I do like to have an issue or two representative of collected runs that I have in single form if I can, mainly for autograph purposes. And what I really like to have is the artist doing the interior, also doing the cover, get that book, get him to sign that book if I can. So I'm gonna have to probably go on eBay or somewhere and pick up a couple of these variants by Muhammad Asrar, so I can have them in case my daughter, the comic slayer, manages to get to a con with either Mahmoud or Jason Aaron, or hopefully both. I'll get those autographs on there. That'd be fabulous. Or maybe I'll actually get to a con myself. That'd be cool. And I know it'd be cool for her because then she doesn't have to get all my autographs. But anyway, yeah, that's I'm gonna have to pick up a couple of these singles for that purpose. But yeah, I really like this a lot, and I think if you're an old-time Conan fan, you're gonna love it. And Jason Aaron has done something that's pretty difficult. He's taken a legacy character, and I mean that in a good way, and he's made it accessible to a new reader. So even if you haven't read 30 years worth of Conan like I have, you could pick this book up and read it, and I think you would probably have no trouble understanding what's going on. Now, if you did know some of his background and knew some of the villains that are referenced throughout this story and some of the events, then it's going to give you an even fuller experience. Yeah, you're going to appreciate it even more. But I think a brand new to Conan reader could pick this up and read it and probably thoroughly enjoy it, even without that extra texture of the old continuity, in your noggin. But yeah, so I think it could appeal to any fan, a new fan or an old fan. And I'm glad I got this in my collection. I love it. So, yeah, easily 10 out of 10 for me. The only thing I could suggest that would make this better, the only thing I think it could be improved, I wish they had included all of the variant covers in the back. There is a big cover gallery in the back of this book, and many of the variant covers are included, including those wonderful action figure variants that are pretty cool by John Tyler Christopher, I believe is his name. Those are pretty neat. But they did not include, they include a couple, but not all, of the variants that Muhammad Asrar did. So that kind of sucks because I really like this guy's art. Fantastic stuff. I wish they had put that back there as well. But I did look those up online, and I know that that's probably the ones I'm going to try to key in on for autograph purposes, as I mentioned. But yeah, all in all, this is 10 out of 10 for me, and I think you'll love it if you love Conan and you love that world. Or if you're interested at all, this is an easy recommend for me. So I hope you like taking a look at this and seeing these beautiful scans, and I will see you next time. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you love it and you want to come back for more. Love to have you. See you.